In this episode or webisode or in this video of Squareburban, we're going to find out, why is my Chevy steering column so wobbly? I don't mean my steering column, I mean yours, because that's why you're here. So let's take a quick look at why Chevy steering columns get wobbly, shall we? We shall. This is what's left of this Chevy steering column. The column itself bolts into the truck, or the vehicle, I should say, because it might not be a truck. And down in here, there's metal stuff. And then there's this thing. This thing is what bolts to the actual steering column. And it's got these pivot pins right here. And then your whole steering column pivots on that. 4 bolts in these holes. Over here and down in there somewhere. Those bolts come loose, and then the whole thing starts falling apart. And that causes your whole steering column to be wobbly. It can be wobbly to the point where your vehicle won't start, or like mine, my Suburban actually would die going around right-hand turns. And the reason for that is that it was wobbling so much that this shaft, this rod right here, which actuates the switch that turns on your ignition and your starter. So when you turn on your ignition, it goes about that far, and when you start, it goes about that far, or somewhere in between, and pushes a switch. And that switch is in this bucket. It's got a hole right here. And so this bolts on here. Put this on here. It comes on here and it fits over here. And that's what starts, and this turns on your ignition and starts your vehicle. So when this, when this wire cannot be, where did it go? When this wire doesn't get actuated properly because the steering column is moving around, this whole thing is moving around. So instead of being down here, it starts pulling back here to the off position. So mine got so wobbly that instead of being on down here, it started backing off when I was turning right. And so the truck just turned off because it thought the ignition had been turned off because everything was so loose. So the solution here is to tear down the steering column, apply Loctite to these 4 bolts in here, which you can kind of see in there, here and here, and then reassemble, which is what I'm doing with a new steering column, because my old steering column, I stripped one of the I messed up one of the pins, and so I ended up having to cut that off to get the pieces out from this steering column so I could install them on this steering column. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching, thank you. And follow along with the rest of the series on doing this. It's loads and loads of fun. Can't you tell from the sound of my voice?